A chalupa is a small boat.
Okay, right.
It says that it's not a menu item.
Wait, what show is this?
Oh, this was just Mad TV.
Oh, I see.
So it was a more than slightly racist sketch comedy
I see.
series. And Key and Peele were certainly known for that.
Anyway, enough about penises.
My friend, you've returned again. It's Halloween in your world, I hear. But in our world, it's always exactly the same time. We had a day with Louise again. There she is. And we thought it would be seasonally appropriate to play some video games, or perhaps this video game.
What is this video game?
This is Kitty Horrorshow's Haunted Cities Volume 4, and this is it's a compendium of games. This game is called Exclusion Zone.
How many games are in this compendium?
I think 4, or maybe I saw 5. I haven't exhaustively looked yet.
What's this one called again?
Exclusion Zone.
Okay.
I saw a number of folders. I love when video games come in folders and you can simply unzip them. There's a pleasure in that that's been lost in the corporate rush to sort of online it all.
What if the game is just folders?
Ha! That would be pretty clever.
Well, that was Torrent's game.
Indeed.
It was really great.
Came up with that. I imagine they had that back in the Unix days.
Oh, yes. Huh?
Oh, I bet. As soon as they had folders, someone was making weird art.
Right, yeah.
Hyperlink or branching paths. Yeah. Ooh.
It was interesting to find out that Torrent hit this sort of maximum number of folders.
Right.
I didn't realize that could happen, but I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, so if you want to make a branching paths, choose your own adventure game out of an operating system, be aware of the maximum path length. You might hit it sooner than you'd hope.
Right, it was the path length.
Probably. It probably wasn't the overall number, although maybe that's also something that's true.
Yeah, the path length would have been pretty ridiculous considering how many of those choices were probably full sentences.
Right, yeah.
This reminds me of World of Warcraft.
The sort of terrain.
Yeah, there would be more trees usually, but something about how
Let's compose it.
what are they trying to do?
Get a nice sort of rule of thirds-y.
Oh.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's not interesting enough.
Yeah, you need more things to get a good conversation.
Yeah. But yeah, this feels like walking down the path in World of Warcraft, and the road size is about correct, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The kind of
yeah,
at
the
this point we
repeating
would
sort
call
of
it primitivist use of texture.
Yeah, yeah.
That of course is from that period, right? Of 3D graphics. Here we have some really cool displacement mapping or something like that. We get this really neat effect.
Right, it's like you took the rocks out of the ground. Like that.
Yeah, something left this impression here in this sort of diagonal fashion. A staircase, the classic sort of natural, unnatural staircase. Oh dear. Maybe I should have run this game in 1080p instead of 4K. Because this text
is very long.
Very long.
to... we gotta read it. Okay. I'm just gonna say it. Based on local historical records and the architecture of the region, we are confident that it was a religious structure of some kind. However, its arrangement and composition are unlike any similar religious structures of the era or territory, despite superficial architectural similarities. Previous examination teams have failed to recover any furnishings, artifacts, devices, etc. that would expressly describe the henceforth temple's purpose, and while local accounts examinations of ambient radiation patterns and simple visual observation of the surrounding countryside leave it beyond question that the temple was the epicenter of the devastation. We remain entirely ignorant as to how it was that the disaster came to pass. This remains the chief objective of all examination teams dispatched to the exclusion zone. There we go.
Right, okay. Thank you. So this was a sort of stalker-like event, an annihilation-like event. We could also say a Kitty Horror Show-like event.
Yes.
It's sort of about that. Ooh. We've returned.
Go up the damn mountain, I guess.
Yeah. Walking up those stairs. Walking up that road.
Walking up that building.
Yo. I would love to do a Strange Think supercut with that Kate Bush song.
Strange Things?
Strange Think is a
Strange
game maker.
Think? Oh.
Procedural labyrinths.
Okay.
Certainly
Right.
running up that hill is a thing that occurs in a game like that.
What's this place look like too? It looks like a convention center.
Like, wait, like Vancouver's?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
No, there's like all sorts of weird steps and there's fin things.
Right.
It's like a lookout for where tourists are hanging out.
It's very smooth. Look at how smooth.
Yeah, it's very metallic for some reason.
It's gotta be an invisible sun that's casting this
Yeah,
specular
it's this
reflection.
kind of the weird haunting thing, the invisible sun. This building's too complicated.
Do you remember when we tried to get, or when we went to that play at, was it, not BCC? Oh. These are gorgeous, these shots.
The swooping asymmetrical fins of the forward sheltered area have been something of a mystery to previous examination teams. Their shape and positioning perfectly enables them to gather moisture from the air on balmy days back when the climate of the area had not been irreparably changed and such days were still possible, which is then channeled into the shrine reflecting pools, into the shallow reflecting pools set into the floor in order that they be kept filled with water. However, this almost artistic asymmetry is not present in any other part of the structure, and such a break in uniformity is in stark contrast to many of the fundamental religious tenets of the surrounding area. Put plainly, it seems an ornamental indulgence that makes no sense to us, given what little we know about those who might have occupied this place. One examiner discovered deep channels between the stones at the bottom of the pool which seemed to run downward some distance, but were too narrow and solid to be inspected further. Theories suggest some manner of sieve, a mechanism for gathering and storing potable water, or possibly even a cooling system for subterranean parts of the structure as yet undiscovered. Future examination teams may be dispatched with equipment suited to further exploration of those possibilities. Neat. Interesting.
Neat. There was a society here.
Very anthropological today.
Yes. Anthropocenic.
Yes.
Also.
Do you think we'll go deep under this building?
I would love to go deep under this building. I guess like one of the huge video game reference points for an architecture schematic like this, we'd look at like
Yeah, some of that reminded me of Shadow of the Colossus, the big bridge-looking thing.
these shots are they're heartbreakingly gorgeous, and I want to walk around in there, but I'm relegated to this literal gray waste.
Would you like this to be read as well?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I figured you didn't want to read it.
I have extraordinarily poor eyesight at this point.
Me too, that's why I wear glasses. Well, there's a whole chunk I can't read because they're like in the middle where all the shine is.
Oh dear.
Yeesh.
I could get close to the television and read this one.
Yeah, okay, let's see you do it. It's a long one. Look how thick that is.
Wow. The central chamber beneath the tower would be, by all accounts, the part of the temple used for communal prayer and administrative gatherings. Such is the case with other religious facilities of the region, all of which feature a similar central chamber. However, given the doubt raised as to the actual purpose of the temple, we are disinclined from making such assumptions. One detail that we find to be most curious regarding the chamber is the fact that not a single one of the examination teams dispatched to the exclusion zone has ever recovered any kind of talisman or artifact from within. Nothing so much as a scrap of cloth or particle of ash. While other areas of the temple show clear signs of damage and dilapidation, the interior chamber is immaculate, almost deliberately so. Scavengers are rarely so delicate in their work, which rules out the possibility of the chamber having simply been picked clean by opportunistic locals. Also curious is the fact that, despite its location directly beneath the extremely radioactive tower, the inner chamber is consistently found to be one of the least irradiated areas of the complex. The stone from which the temple is constructed has no particular insulative properties, which makes this something of a mystery to us. We have continued to look into possible causes for this anomaly, but the absolute lack of salvable material has proved a severe hindrance to our efforts.
Thank you. I should have said archaeological. That's more
Right.
applicable.
You said anthropological.
Yes.
I just love the color in these little vignettes. Yeah, I would like to go there. But we're here.
Mm-hmm. Are you gonna go into these arches?
Well, but I was still trying to...
Oh, it's so creepy in here.
Yeah. Besides the AAA reference points, like, Team Ico and stuff, you can look at, like, walking simulators, generally. Arches.
Oh yeah. Well, Lots of arches.
Reflective textures. Materials. And it is glorious in here, isn't it? Is this maybe the central chamber?
Maybe.
So we're getting a museum tour of a ruined world.
I don't think there's anything in here.
Perhaps not. Oh, I can run. Suddenly, the Doom E1M1 music kicks in. Very sculptural.
Reminds me of a plane propeller.
Yeah. Miyazaki would be digging it, right? Maybe he would strongly feel it was an insult to plane propellers themselves.
Maybe. Note to examination teams. Extreme caution advised when approaching main tower of temple complex. Ambient radiation at dangerous levels. Protracted proximity to tower heavily discouraged. Eventual fatalities extremely likely. The tower, being the obvious centerpiece of this temple structure, is presumed by most of us to be the nucleus of the disaster. The continuing extremes of ambient radiation originating from the tower's apex prevent approach, which has stymied all direct attempts at investigation into the disaster's most probable epicenter, and by extension the entire temple's express role in the calamity. This has long frustrated us for obvious reasons. It is exceedingly difficult to piece together the specifics of such a unique event using only secondary accounts, archaeological hints, and speculation. Most believe the answer to everything is waiting there at the temple's highest point, but our curiosities go ever unsatisfied. We have been looking into potential alternative means of inspection, including the possible aerial passes, long-range examination from atop the exclusion wall, the training and application of Eastern gear vouchers due to their intelligence, manual dexterity, and immunity to most forms of radiation, and all other options failing, complete demolition of the tower at its base with the hope of a resultant dispersal or reduction of ambient radiation, allowing for approach.
Ah, the tower is radioactive?
Yes, it was likely the nucleus of the event.
Yeah, it is.
You're gonna go there, or you're gonna look at those other things?
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, I wonder where those paths go.
That's not where we came from.
It's not.
Oh, the Geiger counter. Yeah, I wouldn't want to prematurely end it by if this is like the finale, and that can happen in a game like this. Oh, the jump is floaty. I love it. Oh. That's a good plan to be able to escape there for a second.
It is reasonable to assert that the exterior area to the north of the main structure was a plot of some kind. Many such monasteries and isolated religious communes of the time featured similar outdoor areas, used traditionally to cultivate a staple crop that the temple's residents could survive on or use for trade with nearby settlements. However, it remains impossible for us to determine just what was grown here. Soil traces betray no sign of any of the plants indigenous to the area, or indeed any surrounding regions from which seeds may have been imported. Stranger still, radiation of a kind entirely unique to the modest plot may still be found in the soil, suggesting the growth of some kind of radioactive plant with an extraordinary half-life, distinct even from the radiation that filled the area in the wake of the disaster. Absolutely no historical accounts of such a plant exist in any archive throughout the entire peninsula. Consequently, this small area of ground is of great interest to us. Examination teams are encouraged to check the area thoroughly for anything that may provide further information, no matter how seemingly minuscule. Radiation plants.
I feel that I'm at an interesting scale relative to this.
Big plants, I don't know.
Right, these are larger trellises.
Yeah. Say that Chernobyl turned out to be great for the environment. Got all the humans out of there.
It was bad enough for humans. That's I think that's a theme explored in Kitty Horrorshow works as well.
Yeah, well, where are the wild horses, huh?
Or are the wild horses? There's a good shot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And puppies.
Puppies, yeah, right.
And
the Chernobyl horses and pups.
Yeah.
Not to mention the, invisible squid-faced Cthulhu hunters.
Wait, sorry? Is the one animal what you're talking about?
In Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, there's
see.
a variety of added wildlife to that region.
Easily the most baffling part of the temple at large is the pair of cairn stones on the shore at the bottom of the steps northeast of the complex. Nearly everything about them seems at odds with the rest of the structure and with the region itself. They are of material that eludes identification and which cannot be located anywhere else on the peninsula. Their arrangement and indeed their very presence suggests a kind of clandestine purpose that would likely be considered paganistic, possibly even... No, I can't read that word. Heretical,
Ooh.
when juxtaposed with the dominant religion of the time and territory. Yet it is obviously too close to the temple to have been kept hidden. The glowing arches lining the stone steps which lead to the shore were found to have been constructed after the temple itself, but the cairns themselves, hitherto impossible to date accurately, are highly presumed to have been there for much longer, suggesting a deliberate acknowledgement of the cairns in the arch's construction. Finally, prior examination teams have found traces of a kind of energetic charge in the air around the cairns, not radioactive yet with a similar half-life to radiation, and distinct from both the fallout of the disaster and the radiation found in the soil of the plots just north of the main structure. While it seems safe to assume the cairns have had little to do directly with the catastrophe, both their purpose and their existence remain something of a fascination to me. Examination teams are encouraged to check the surrounding area, but are cautioned against protracted proximity. Many containers who remained in the cairns immediate presence for more than several minutes began experiencing symptoms similar to a combination of radiation poisoning and etheric plague, with at least one case resulting in death.
Etheric plague?
Yes.
I wonder what that's like.
It's probably not good.
This very much reminds me of, my time playing Myst, the Denis Restoration Council, right? These people coming in trying to understand how this, seeming idyllic society worked.
It's very, weird and, I guess, cosmic horror-y. These, mysterious... sculptures and mysterious sculptures and things that happened here before the dominant religion came in. Definitely some mountain texture. Oh, you're wondering that arch? I guess so, yeah.
Right. This is the shadow I see with the shadow of the tower now.
Yes.
It's hard ray trace shadows.
They could support with that little farm.
Right. This connects to
The Overlook, for Mercy, is one feature of the temple which can at least be partially explained. Were it not for the exclusion wall, the Overlook would provide a grandiose view of the nearby lake, which is a feature of the temple that the temple shares with all similar structures of the region. All are built in proximity to an inland body of water, generally at elevation, and all feature an overlook of similar construction extending from the main structure and pointing toward the aforementioned body. This is of some interest to us because we have at least some evidence to suggest that the temple was built with a specific purpose of performing whatever unique machinations precipitated the disaster, thus making the construction of an overlook something of a concession. If the temple's original purpose was not the practice of the local religion, then the overlook would be superfluous. It is possible that some of the temple's residents maintained their old beliefs, and therefore necessitated the overlook's construction, which opens the possibility that the temple's purpose may not be an entirely religious one, after all. It has also been suggested that it was meant merely as a prop A visual misdirection intended to convince the locals from a distance that all atop the lakeside hill was normal and that nothing untoward was being conducted. Some of us find this possibility to be somewhat cynical, but it cannot be ruled out.
Huh. Shout out to the sine wave Bob on those lanterns. That's fucking gorgeous. I love the sine wave Bob. It's like one of my favorite procedural animation techniques.
Do you think that something untoward was happening here?
Yes.
The purpose of this place was untoward?
I mean, of course. It's like a Cardassian novel. Everybody's guilty in one of these games. The question is like, what were they up to, I wonder? But then, is there something large?
I can't tell. It's hard to tell. Yeah, what is that? Are we actually seeing a landscape out there? That's kind of... Huh.
Should I go for it?
It's up to you.
I guess we can always go back.
Is this just where you, like, started from?
It's probably a bounding volume for the world. Just a big wall.
It's a big wall.
Big. Oh. I like the extension of this thing.
Mm-hmm. It's neat.
Really plays well with the way that they've set the shadows up.
Yeah. This thing's got lots of legs.
Ooh, yeah. I'm into that. Because, yeah, I'll scale this. I'm the best parkoursman. Pretty looking. This is kind of like reminds me of a sculpture you put in a public square.
Yes, it does look like one of those.
An expression of, the feeling of accomplishment that this society might have had. Like the big switchy track at Roundhouse.
It's all a ruse.
Switchy track at Roundhouse.
I don't know, just like you reflecting on that being like a sort of sign of like their expression of accomplishment for this society, but these people maybe they were like, they were doing something untoward.
Dark wizards.
Yes.
Warlocks, even worse.
From the recovered notes of examiner Saturna, deceased. She was wronged. None of this would have happened had her sisters not wronged her so. She would not have been so lonesome. Wouldn't have called out like she did. She'd have kept her old worshippers, the ones who knew how to build her temples and channel her stones. The ones that came from where she came from. She wouldn't have had to call out across the sea to a place she wasn't known. They only tried to love her and honor her here, but our stones are not like her stones and our air is not like her air, and that's what caused it. That's why it happened, I'm sure of it. She will be vilified once her name is learned, but it was her sisters who broke her up and threw her down. Gods above, it makes me want to cry just thinking about it. How long she must have lain there under the sand, hurting and lonely and angry and not knowing what she did wrong. And now this. So much devastation just because she wanted to be loved, because they wanted to love her but didn't know how. And now she's alone again, wherever she is. I don't know how to pray to her. I would if I could. Maybe just thinking about how sorry I am for everything she's gone through will be enough. I'm sorry, sister. You deserve better. This was not your fault. You still think it was untoward?
Suppose not. I love these elevators going up and down. I think,
It's too bad you can't use them now. Oh, examination complete.
Right. There's a good shot. But is there a way to find something significant and new?
I don't know, maybe not.
Okay. Let's return to the bulkhead then.
It's along that path.
Good staircase. Make that staircase sharp. Square.
You won't just jump down.
Okay, we'll jump.
Oh, you don't have to go back up to do it. I assume you wouldn't die.
Parkour. The lack of fall damage is one of the most exciting things about little games like this. It's so annoying to jump off of something in a game and have it punish you. No, that's not the intended designed route.
Right.
Man, I don't care about your designed route.
What?
The trees, they're beautiful.
They were beautiful.
That 1/3. The bulkhead. Oh. Huh.
You did it.
I
You did
visited.
your examination.
I examined the exclusion zone. We found nothing unusual.
Uh-huh. Yep. I thought it was. I liked it.
Yeah. Is there kind of a story about it to be constructed in the end?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The land didn't fit in with this deity, this being.
Was that person the controller of the entire, that whole facility, or just
I don't know. Maybe they didn't control it.
Like, yes, there's sort of, that's
It's
a
like
recurring
there's-
element in Kitty Horror Show games.
Well, like, there's, like, denizens of that land who, I guess, tried to, I don't know, worship whoever or whatever it was.
Like the deity that is worshipped via the tower.
Yeah,
Right.
I guess.
Yeah. Sort of a spirit of loneliness permeates it. Sense of exclusion. An exclusion
Yes,
zone into which
yes.
this person was placed. It seems like part of it.
We're playing the next one.
Sure. If you've got time to play another one.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Can't leave the house 'cause of deadly plague.
Etheric plague.
Right, etheric plague.